When I started this podcast and now this video series, I promised that I wanted to make episodes on subjects that were timeless, that people would still learn from many years from now, and that in general I would avoid commenting on the 24-hour news cycle. Well, there's a couple problems with trying to keep myself that pure. First, the 24-hour news cycle is a rich source of examples of bad thinking passed off on the public as either profound on the one hand or legitimate satire on the other, and by choosing to avoid talking about it, I'm missing the chance to reach an audience that might relate to what I have to say about learning to think better in light of current events. I think understanding what's going on in the world, sense-making, is one of the best uses of critical thinking. Second, by trying to hold myself above it all, I'm actually missing out on finding my audience. Not simply people with whom I might be ideologically aligned, but people of any set of beliefs and opinions who are interested in learning to think better and understand that having their thinking challenged is an important part of that process. And third, everyone has biases, including me, and I don't think that trying to hide one's beliefs and biases from the world is the best way to make a positive impact on it. So, whether you agree with my opinions or not, if I can get you to think about what you believe and why, then I'm accomplishing my mission. So when I do pieces like this, what I'm about to do here, I'm going to do you the courtesy of being very upfront about my opinions and biases, and you can take that into account when you hear my actual arguments. One more thing I'll come back to over and over again. Just because I say I agree with someone doesn't mean I agree with everything they say. And just because I say I disagree with someone doesn't mean I disagree with everything they say. I think every opinion has to be judged on its merits. So when I say that I think that Chris Rufo is doing good work, that doesn't mean I think that everything he says is stellar. And when I say that John Oliver has become an unfunny political hack, that's not to diminish the occasional funny thing he does say, or that he actually used to be funny a long time ago. So a few days ago, Megyn Kelly interviewed Christopher Rufo.
What I'm looking at, and it's just kind of an ongoing series, I just started it, is to take that same system of reporting, that same style of reporting as I did with critical race theory, but now taking a look at gender ideology. What's happening right now is parents are feeling that. They're feeling this is kind of weird. I'm kind of uncomfortable with this, but I'm scared to speak out. And so what we have to do is we have to give them the kind of media narrative, kind of justification or validation or substantiation of their concerns to say, hey, this is the kind of thing they're teaching in schools. And then we have to give them the language where they can speak about it with confidence, they can speak about it directly, and they can speak about it with the requisite level of aggressiveness that it's going to take to say, hey, wait a minute, we have to stop this.
Oliver then goes on the attack.
Yeah, he's basically giving people a script to repeat. And say what you want about Chris Rufo, like, for instance, that he's a fear-mongering troll who looks like what would happen if someone made the recipe for Ryan Gosling but forgot to add the hotness.
Oliver calls Rufo a fear-mongering troll, which is the start of his rhetorical thrust. Rufo is making a big deal out of nothing, fear-mongering. By following up such a statement with a joke about Rufo's looks, he's using laughter to anchor his audience in a state of agreement with what he's about to say.
He is very deliberate in how he tries to influence public opinion.
Oliver, though, is the same. He's not simply there to tell jokes. He's there to influence public opinion. And for that matter, so am I.
Rufo suggested branding the discussion of trans issues under the umbrella of radical gender theory. And he tweeted out that conservatives should start using the phrase trans stripper in lieu of drag queen. It has a more lurid set of connotations and shifts the debate to sexualization.
Notice how Oliver has carefully chosen this example of Rufo's rhetoric to attack. When you're going to attack an enemy, you should attack their weakest spots. Why is this weak? Because it's easily dismissible, and that's what Oliver wants the public to do to Rufo, dismiss him as ridiculous. Unfortunately, Rufo set himself up for this because anyone who actually knows anything about drag queens knows that the vast majority of them are neither trans nor strippers. Rufo chose this phrase because, yes, it happened in 2019 that Seattle hired a trans stripper to perform at a conference on solving homelessness, and the video went viral. Oliver wants to drive his point home. He wants his audience to dismiss Rufo's rhetorical misstep and in the process dismiss everything he says entirely.
And sure, anything can have a more lurid and sexual set of connotations if you just rename it. I'll show you. Rain, sky jizz. There, much worse. Immersion blender, soup vibrator, spaghetti sauce, noodle lube. See, this works on anything.
Oliver finishes by telling us what he thinks is the flaw in the conservative argument.
But in the conservative playbook, that tactic is a really big one, linking discussion of gender identity to sexual predation and teachers grooming students.
He says conservatives want to spuriously link discussion of gender identity with sexual predation, and unfortunately, he has played against Rufo's weakest gambit. Now, Rufo goes on to thank Oliver for amplifying his message with his hit piece. This is also true. In this sense, Oliver has played into Rufo's hands because the actual clip he played of Rufo talking to Megyn Kelly will strike many parents as quite reasonable, and it gets Rufo's name out there. To the extent that Oliver was preaching to his choir, nothing will change, but Rufo no doubt picked up some followers from seeing this. Unfortunately, both Rufo and Oliver are pinning their hopes on straw man arguments. Rufo is insisting that drag queens are something that they are in general not. And Oliver is hoping that by attacking this, that his audience will dismiss everything else that Rufo might have to say. Of course, it's also possible that Rufo is playing 4D chess and deliberately throwing out the occasional over-the-top tweet to deliberately invite such attacks.
You are without doubt the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
But you have heard of me.
When threatened with bad publicity, P.T. Barnum once quipped, "Say anything you like about me, but spell my name right." Following Barnum's lead, Rufo tweeted, "The most liberating thing you can do is to stop caring about the approval of people who hate you. I've learned to see these media fights as accelerants to my campaigns rather than personal judgments of me. They do not matter in my day-to-day life at all." Sounds like good advice to me, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments below, like the video, share it with a friend, and I also hope you'll subscribe. See you tomorrow.